Oh, hello, hello. Welcome to the episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about everything in the world of professional wrestling. Hope you guys had a great, amazing weekend, fun, fulfilled resting. Time to recharge the battery. Something about the great thing about Saturdays and Sundays, at least just for me. When you talk about the American dream, you always have this awesome 9 to 5 job where you're going to work and doing things that you love, from dawn till dusk. You gotta love Sundays, man. Sundays, especially with the NFL, barbecuing with the fam bam, putting on that NFL Sunday ticket. If you pay for it, good for you. If not, you're not really missing much, to be honest. You know, I kind of pay attention within the app and you get to know all the scores and all the big plays and the highlights and sometimes they do offer like a red zone package where you just get red zone. But I don't know, Sundays are always just a day to kind of recharge. We had a great weekend of wrestling. We had Friday Night SmackDown, which we're going to talk about in our first segment. Our second segment, of course, we're going to preview what's happening tonight on Monday Night Raw. Obviously, I am aware that it already has aired on the East Coast. But it's live. It's live over here. I have it recorded. I can't wait to watch it. So we're going to talk a little bit about, some possible things that could come about. We're also going to talk about my review, my analysis of AEW WrestleDream. We're going to talk about AEW and WWE PLE comparison. How WWE often kind of has that overall mentality or the philosophy, much like Triple H, Paul Levesque likes to talk about. He likes, quality over quantity as opposed to, AEW, which tends to embrace more of a quantity over quality. They have like on a match card, man. Wrestle Dream had a lot. They had a lot, man. I think they had 4 or 5 matches on the pre-show. And not that it's bad, but we're gonna get into that in our fourth segment. In our fifth segment, we're gonna cap off today's podcast talking about New Japan Professional Wrestling's King of Pro-Wrestling. It happened. It was kind of funny. I was doing research for shows and stuff like that, and I got a notification from my Ringside News app saying that New Japan Professional Wrestling's pay-per-view already happened, and it seemed like it's like it happened, in the future, like time travel and stuff like that. But in reality, here in California, we are 16 hours away from Japan. So right now it's 8 p.m. over there. Although it's 12 p.m. 12 p.m. in the afternoon. It just turned 12:06. That's crazy. That's nuts. Man, time change is kind of crazy. But anyway, so we're gonna talk about that. But of course, before we get into any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. We are absolutely, love hearing from you guys during the show. If you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling or just something you've been dying to get off your chest here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. But we also, we're all ears here at the GSMC Sports Network. This also, helps us keep the conversation going, keep it lively, making sure your voice is heard. Part of the mix, so don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on the show, why not use that super chat? If you use that super chat, whatever you put in that little message box is going to be featured on the show, 1,010%. Hopefully, we'll have a nice little back and forth discussion about it. Can't wait for that. So don't be shy. Hit it up. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say, your opinions and stuff like that. Also, it just helps us, support the channel, support the GSMC Sports Network, helps us keep these amazing podcasters doing what they do best, is talking sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, you name it. Here on the GSMC Sports Network, we do have we share a little bit of love with all the sports out there, so, we can keep bringing you guys even more awesome content that you guys love so much. We are absolutely super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep this party going. send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat is not your thing, hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just don't forget to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, but of course, talking sports, criticisms, a lot of, arguments, a lot of disagreements, which makes talking sports, even that much better. So, feedback as you get. So 1,010%, don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. All right, so of course we're going to start off with what happened on Friday. It was a huge, huge, huge Friday night SmackDown. It was an absolute bombshell, to be honest. First and foremost, we saw SmackDown kicked off with Jimmy Uso, the returning Jimmy Uso, helping his tribal chief Roman Reigns at WWE Bad Blood. It was kind of cool. He got a warm audience reaction, which was pretty cool. He was 6 months out, man, 6 months out. After WrestleMania, in April. Kind of crazy. So he's probably been out as long as Cody Rhodes has been WWE champion. Roman Reigns came out shortly. He did something a little different today. He was like, honestly, he talked about, damn it, I forgot where they were today, but he was like, join me and acknowledge, Big Jim, Big Jim. It's kind of funny. Then he high fived Jimmy Uso, which was, he kind of got that silly baby face thing out of him. Like you could tell he kind of broke character a little bit, Roman did, but then he quickly, jumped right back on. And I got to be honest, during his little rant, at first I was a little, like, all right, where is he going with this? Where is he going with this? But eventually he did find, he did hit home on the promo, which makes me worry. Once again, you have Roman Reigns possibly becoming a babyface. As a babyface, he wasn't really good, on promos and stuff like that. He was better as a heel. So, obviously a little concern came to me there. I was kind of seeing a little bit of a, post-Vietnam flashbacks and stuff like that. Like, what I mean? You're just like post-traumatic. You're like, oh my God, no, here we go again. Babyface Roman Reigns doesn't know how to, cut a good promo or doesn't know how to play to the fans or anything like that. So I thought, but he eventually picked it up, which was pretty cool. He said, he kind of reflected on what happened in the past, what's happening on the present, and what he wants to do for the future. He was talking, he said, for 4 years, we took what was ours. I don't like where we are at right now, which is, and then Jimmy was like, you know what? And no, Roman Reigns first, he was like, you know what? We are still the ones. And then Jimmy Uso interrupted him. He was like, you know what, Us? We aren't, though. Like, you know what I mean? No Uno Fala. We also have no tribe. We need help. And he was talking about one person. Obviously, everybody in the arena, all the audience members started to go nuts because they knew exactly who they were talking about. The new WWE Intercontinental Champion, Jey Uso, obviously finding a lot of success right now on Raw. Honestly, as a singles wrestler, I'm not sure him joining this whole Bloodline Civil War would kind of shoot himself in the foot. But maybe the SmackDown, or maybe during joint pay-per-views they can use him occasionally. But at the end of the day, you still need the WWE Intercontinental Championship defended. Something that WWE has done in the past is put championships like the World Tag Team, like the WWE Tag Team, like the United States, also like the WWE Intercontinental. They are defended on Raw and SmackDown, so which makes me think and believe that I'm like, you know what? I don't think it would be that much of a problem to have Jay kind of be in the storyline a little bit more than a lot of fans are expected. But I don't know, it's kind of crazy. And then he was like, straight up, he was like, no yeet. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, damn, dude, okay. And then, of course, Jimmy Uso left the ring disappointed, leaving Roman Reigns to kind of ultimately think and reflect on his thoughts about not even acknowledging, not even getting Jey Uso back into the mix. Because, obviously Jimmy, Jay's brother, and then Solo Sikoa, the tribal chief, self-proclaimed. It's who knows them, who knows somebody better than their brother? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you had Solo Sikoa, then you have Jimmy and Jay on the side. Obviously, you would have the upper hand. You'd be only outnumbered by one guy. Yeah, you'd only be outnumbered by one guy. You would have to have an enforcer. You know, if Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso came back together, on Friday Night SmackDown, which, like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to happen on SmackDown. It'll have to be probably, main event kind of caliber, PLE. I can imagine like backstage at WWE Crown Jewel, you're going to see Roman Reigns cross paths with Jay, and then kind of give him that look, and then Jay giving him that look as well, like I don't trust you, but we got to do what's right for the family, and of course Jimmy Uso is going to kind of be that glue, going to be the kind of be that man in the middle to kind of mitigate any problems that they had, kind of be a way to kind of have them amend past beef so they can come together and be as great as they once were. So yeah. All right, next we have Carmelo Hayes taking on the LA Knight for the United States title match. They showed AJ Styles' injury. Ultimately, it was I wouldn't consider it a botched play by Carmelo Hayes or AJ Styles in professional wrestling and even in sports. You know what I mean? Like that stuff kind of happens. And it just happened. Obviously, AJ Styles had to kind of be on the bad recipient of it, and the Carmelo Hayes vowed that if he won the United States title from LA Knight on SmackDown, he was going to bring back that spinner belt, which would be pretty interesting, which would be pretty cool. To be honest, I thought, just a little something a little different, like something a little different. You know what I mean? Andrade obviously sitting ringside, obviously kind of swayed the attention of Carmelo Hayes, which cost him probably to kind of be off his game a little bit. I kind of like how they're throughout these matches with the LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, and LA Knight and Andrade and Hayes, they're kind of leaving it open ended with a lot of the possibilities that these guys are kind of all equals. These guys are all equals, and ultimately, this title is ultimately going to be defended in a triple threat match, which I feel like would ultimately lead to Andrade winning his first belt in WWE, which is much deserved, much deserved. I would rather see, Carmelo Hayes. He's very, very young, still has a whole life, a whole generation of WWE to get out of his system. So, I want to see Andrade win. I love the LA Knight, and I love the way he kind of, his character is right now. But right now, I feel like Andrade would be a better United States champion. Um, Obviously, you saw the BFT for the victory. Then you saw a promo with Jimmy Uso and Cody Rhodes coming backstage. Jimmy Uso said, he basically set up straight up. Like, he basically, in a nutshell, within 1 minute, basically set up what's going to happen for the rest of SmackDown heading up until WrestleMania. And, obviously, I might be wrong about it, but, Jimmy Uso was like, you know what? We're handling family business, Us. It looks like you're holding your own. Respect. You know, speculations on Cody Rhodes being done with the Bloodline as of right now is, pretty concurrent. I feel like it's going to be, like Jimmy was saying about just strictly family. You have the final boss coming back, Solo Sikoa, all these new, Anoa'i family, Maya Veas, also the Fatus coming all together in one, sitting in WWE on even on one show. Like that's a lot of family. That's a lot of that's a lot of backup. So Jimmy Uso basically laid it out for WWE fans that Cody Rhodes is going to take a break from this whole bloodline civil war storyline or his beef with the bloodline. All right, next we have Last Legend and Miss Jackson coming over from NXT to challenge for the WWE World Women's Tag Team Championships, trying to take them away from Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Obviously, wasn't the case. The match ended pretty quick. I was a little disappointed on the length of the match, but overall, I was kind of getting red flags from the get go. It was interrupted by Kevin Owens, straight up, and then Kevin Owens preaching to the crowd saying that Cody Rhodes turned on me. Randy Orton tries to defuse the subject, gets into it with Kevin Owens, and obviously you had Piper Niven and Chelsea Green sitting ringside. You had the champions retain. Next, we have a promo. Nia Jax comes out with Tiffany Stratton, talking about congratulating Bayley, saying that I actually broke a sweat. Morgan can't beat me. I'm going to annihilate Liv Morgan, and of course she grabbed Tiffany Stratton, a very aggressive, a very if you treat the person that you have as your right hand man like crap, she's gonna cash in on Nia Jax. Like it's basically it's foretold, and it's and that's exactly what's going to happen. Tiffany Stratton, obviously, at this point in time, doesn't really belong on what's going on Monday Night Raw. I feel like they ultimately have to keep the belt on Liv Morgan until maybe perhaps Becky comes back or Asuka. But I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to find out what happens during that match. But I'm saying 95% Liv Morgan is not being cashed on. Of course, Tiffany Stratton seems like she was getting a lot of love from the fans. Naomi came out confronting Nia Jax, saying that she don't need anybody to beat you. Raquel Rodriguez, Morgan, Dirty Dom come out to kind of push the envelope a little bit in the match. We have a match between Naomi and Nia Jax. Referee comes out, granted by Nick Aldis, with help from Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Naomi was able to pick up the victory, which is pretty awesome, which is pretty good. Good for Naomi. Definitely, love and respect, the WWE veteran and that. Then, of course, then you saw Rhea Ripley come out, the former WWE Women's World Heavyweight Champion, and it's kind of crazy, but ultimately it was, it was good. It was good. All right, next we have a promo. Nick Aldis makes Game 7, match number 7 between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade live next week on SmackDown. Of course, then he was confronted by Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. Both basically, Escobar wanted a little love. Electra Lopez wanted a little love. Garza, Humberto Carrillo wants love as well. And, they're going to debut. They're going to fight against the debuting Motor City Machine Guns next week, which they're probably going to lose, which sucks because once again, I'm like, you know what? I feel like whenever it comes to like the luchadors, the Latino wrestlers in WWE, I feel like their opportunities, don't really get seen more than I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I just always see how luchadors always kind of suffer in WWE. And then next, we have Solo Sikoa's promo talking about Jimmy will acknowledge him. Kevin Owens attacks Randy Orton backstage. That's going to be an interesting storyline. Maybe they're going to go at it at WWE Crown Jewel. Would be interesting. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso go up against. Solo Sikoa takes on Jimmy Uso. Excuse me. Solo Sikoa wins, obviously, with the help from the Bloodline. Then they get attacked. Then Jimmy gets attacked from the Bloodline. And then, of course, then you saw Roman Reigns trying to make the save. Wasn't enough. The numbers game plays dividends once again, alluding to what exactly started the show, that Jimmy told Roman Reigns that we need help. We need help, Moose. And I know you don't want to, bend the knee, or I know you don't want to, kind of falter to try to amend things with Jey Uso and a lot of bridges that you burned in the past, but you're going to have to kind of face them. So I kind of definitely love that. Got to give a real shout out to my man Logan James right now, who's attending, this show. Hopefully, had a great weekend, my man. Hopefully, Monday wasn't too crazy for you. We're gonna try to get us into some Tuesdays right now. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. I'm gonna talk about my next segment. We got WWE Monday Night Raw. It's happening right now. Got it taped right now. Can't wait to see it. Obviously, have not checked a single shred of social media, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Obviously, love to. But of course, if you have some hot spoilers, would love to kind of talk about it. So, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and out, backstage current drama. We talk about news, talk about superstar news from inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings, from promotions from AEW to Stardom, to New Japan Professional Wrestling, to the National Wrestling Alliance, from WWE to TNA, obviously NXT, the GCW, also, New Japan Professional Wrestling. Whenever, if it makes major news headlines in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here on the GSMC Sports Network. So just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE Friday Night SmackDown review. Now we're going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. More like talk, because I feel like, get a lot of updates and stuff like that. But it's still so cool to watch it. It's still so cool to kind of see everything unfold right in front of my eyes. But of course, before I do anything like that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat, whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network, wants to hear about what's been, burning your chest, what you want to get off your chest in terms of anything about professional wrestling. Doesn't necessarily have to be about what we're, kind of speaking of. If you have anything like a hot take, be like, I hated John Cena. I'll be like, whoa, damn, all right, we're going to talk about that. I'm just kidding. No, but obviously, if it's something that's a hot topic, definitely got to love about it. Shoot me your opinions about AEW's WrestleDream. Also, don't be afraid to share. We are all ears. This show is all about keeping the conversation going, keeping the party lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on the show, why not use that that chat box that says super chat? It's the $sign. Make sure you hit it. Send in your message. Whatever you say is going to be featured on the show to be debated about, to be talked about, or to kind of have a nice back and forth conversation between us and the viewers. A lot of audience engagement is all about, to be honest, in my opinion, what I'm all about in terms of the podcasting community. I just don't want to be yelling at the mic for an hour straight. We definitely love to hear about what you guys have to say in terms of professional wrestling. Kind of want to take this podcast as if you're like someone, go into a bar or a social gathering and, you're a wrestling fan and you're like, man, and then you look over to this next person and they're a wrestling fan as well. Kind of that comfortability, kind of the, just to feel calm, cool, collected, to be opened up to Eric, your favorite wrestling fan from the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Definitely love hearing from you guys. Obviously, we are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And, together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, the super chat, not your thing. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Of course, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But of course, in terms of sports, nice little friendly, criticism, the banter is all, that's what it's all about. So, don't be afraid, even if it's a negative comment, criticism. Hey, feedback is a gift. We definitely love how to be better as a podcaster. Most importantly, how to be a better wrestling fan. Make sure, don't be shy. Don't be shy and just hit it up. Let's talk. Let's have a nice little, conversation going. All right, we're going to talk about some Monday Night Raw talk. I got a Monday Night Raw talk in the chat right now by my man, Logan James. Bianca is the next John Cena and cheated. And feel like a big star in WWE. But Bianca and Jade needed to cheat by beating Damage Control tonight. This is why I don't like Bianca and Jade. That's actually quite shocking. They kind of have this this babyface mentality, and it's can't wait to watch it, can't wait to see. But I know Damage Control is kind of alluding to a babyface drop. But Bianca and Jade, they have been so successful in the women's tag team division. At first I hated that they tag team together. I thought it would ultimately, I was like, why would you want to put the two top singles women's superstars, especially on SmackDown, where it seems like you only have Nia Jax, Bayley, and maybe Tiffany Stratton, who could really hold their own, holding the company, abroad with the WWE Women's Championship. So I was like, okay, having this happen, maybe having them, Bianca and Jade kind of turn heel, would it could be interesting. I ultimately feel like Bianca, any surrounding storyline around her, like you mentioned, John Cena, like you mentioned, her being a big star in WWE, she's gonna get attention. She's gonna get attention. She's gonna have fans. She's gonna be hated. Much like you see, CM Punk, like fans still hate him. Superstars still hate him, but hey, like he still, he does what he does in the ring, and if you like him, you like him. If you don't, then cool. Like, you know what I mean? But ultimately, like, that's kind of crazy. Obviously, I can see why they would put the belt on Damage Control. I feel like they would open up that women's tag team division more, widely as opposed to Bianca Belair and Jade stay the champions. But wow, that's actually pretty damn interesting. All right, Monday Night Raw. It's going to be in Evansville, Indiana. Sorry, at the Ford Center. Like we mentioned before, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill will defend their WWE World Women's Championships against Damage Control. But we just found out from my man Logan James that Bianca Belair cheaters. I'm just kidding. No, but kind of crazy, kind of a trip that they had to cheat to win the championships. But hey, honestly, at the end of the day, you got to do what's good for you. And Bianca Belair and Cargill kind of have that, that killer instinct that I feel like will rub the WWE universe the wrong way. But ultimately, they're just tenacious. You know what I mean? They're just tenacious. All right, next we have Braun Breaker taking on Kofi Kingston. Will this possibly be a way for Kofi Kingston to kind of sway Xavier Woods back into his, back into this whole New Day union? I don't feel like if Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston breaks up, I feel like it would do more harm than good. Maybe sure you get that, you get that shock factor. And then everybody's like, oh my God, posting all over social media, tagging WWE. They get millions and millions of views and hits. But in reality, 2 or 3 months down the line, you have nowhere to put Xavier Woods, ultimately hurting and killing his career with WWE when they decide to break up tag teams. Kind of, especially with a tag team that's been together as long as a New Day. Like, if it was like a newly formed tag team, it was like, hey, we tried it, didn't work out. Guess what? I'm gonna turn my back on my partner. Like, it's understandable. You know what I mean? I can comprehend that. But if you have something like that happen, we just have a waste. Like I said, doing it for the shock value. I don't want to hear that. But I think Braun Breaker will come out victorious. Next, we have R-Truth taking on The Miz. Will The Miz be visited by the Wyatt Six? Possibly could be exactly what the Wyatt Six were waiting for, fighting broken men who have, turned on their former friends, their tag team partners. You saw it happen with Chad Gable with the Alpha Academy. It could definitely happen tonight with the R-Truth. They protect R-Truth. They protect the people who are defenseless, who are weak, who will not like R-Truth is weak. Like, I just mean in sense of like the character and their momentum heading, of course, heading toward Monday Night Raw. But I don't know, it should be interesting. Speaking of the Alpha Academy, we have them taking on the War Raiders in the War Raiders' first ever match. They're coming back, both of them coming back from injury, so this should be interesting to find out. Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton team up to take on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Obviously, a lot of WWE crown jewel implications heading toward there. Should be interesting. Cody Rhodes and Gunther will be face to face. Who will take home that title? The WWE Crown Jewel Championship, Raw or SmackDown? Kind of like a nice little compensation of how on Survivor Series you used to have the WWE champion taking on the World Heavyweight Champion to kind of have brand supremacy. You kind of saw it. You kind of saw it hinted on SmackDown when Nick Aldis was confronting Cody Rhodes, being like, "Hey, I need you 100%. I need your head in the game because you need to bring that title to SmackDown." Basically, like basically saying that, "Hey, I care. I want you to win." Like, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be any other way. So, no, I kind of like how they're incorporating that kind of aspect, kind of that point of view in terms of the storylines heading toward Crown Jewel, because let's all be honest, like Crown Jewel, like I said before, usually you don't have any big storylines explode. You don't have any big main title exchanges. This is kind of like WWE's way of compensating just to make it seem like it just means that much. Like, you know what I mean? You put Gunther against Cody Rhodes, which is an amazing match, by all means, an amazing match. But I feel like there's going to be some muddy waters here. Maybe Kevin Owens or I don't know. I just feel like it's I don't think Cody's going to win. I think Gunther's going to win, but it's not going to be cleanly. And then of course, obviously Nia Jax taking on Liv Morgan is going to be a good one as well. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Rhea Ripley is set to call out Raquel Rodriguez. So what's up with the new tag team titles? What's up with the tag team titles? I don't get it. I don't get it right now. You have them basically being the only reason why Judgment Day is, kind of relevant in the storyline on Monday Night Raw. And and I don't say that with pleasure. Like, you know what I mean? I don't say that with pleasure. I say it, with kind of hating it because I know with the right push, with the right storylines, all those superstars, even Carlito, it could do so much good for their so much good for their, for their careers. I want to see Finn Balor ultimately take up that spot as the leader of Judgment Day. I don't want to see him as a tag team champion. Like, I don't. And, right now the tag team titles on Monday Night Raw are weak. It's a weak division. You're getting the War Raiders back. SmackDown, as they're getting the Motor City Machine Guns. It feels like both tag team titles are kind of up in flux right now. They don't really have a stable champion. They don't really have a stable division, which ultimately sucks. And you see Monday Night Raw going to 2 hours, which could possibly hurt both the tag team division and of course the women's division as well. But I don't know. It's just this is a huge reason, and I know most of you guys are gonna blame me on my nostalgia here, but I think this is a huge reason why you shouldn't have the New Day break up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know they've been tag team champions before. Like, we get it. It might be a little bit too stale, might be a little bit too old. But as a WWE fan and part of the WWE universe, I don't see that. I don't take that perspective. I don't take that I don't take that stance in this argument. I feel like the only way to basically night and day solidify, the tag team division and the tag team titles to be prestigious, within a blink of an eye, within a snap of your fingers, is to put the titles on a veteran tag team like the New Day. It brings Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston back together. Big E is months. Like, when I say months, I'm not talking about months, like days, like weeks of coming back to form this New Day thing once again. If he comes back and there's no New Day, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen with Big E? And of course, like, you see them on the USA Network hosting the Scare Tactics show, so I don't know. I feel like for the tag team division, keeping the New Day together would be better. I ultimately thought they were supposed to win against the Judgment Day, but of course, having this character conflict with Xavier Woods, the fans getting scared, backstage superstars are kind of looking at Xavier Woods like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You're gonna turn your back on your partner?" Like the LWO, he fought Rey Mysterio, took off his mask by accident. You kind of have this guy who really is conflicted with himself, needs a win to kind of have this redemption story, this storyline being told by WWE in terms of Xavier Woods at this point is extremely crucial. It could end up, it could be bad, it could be good. And when I say good, even if he turns heel, but if they find the right storyline, it could be good for his career. But right now, how the tag team division is suffering on Raw, it's bad. It's bad. The tag team division on Raw is really, really bad. So this could possibly be a way for the New Day to kind of be revamped up. I would honestly kind of prefer it because at Kofi's age, and Big E coming back from a major neck fusion surgery, and Xavier Woods kind of being that young stud, not being able to establish himself within the singles kind of category. You saw how long it took Jey Uso to become Intercontinental Champion. And I think about it, I'm like, I don't see Xavier Woods fitting in any of the divisions. I don't see him contending for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't see him going to SmackDown and contending for the WWE Championship. I don't see him contending for the WWE Intercontinental Championship on Raw. I don't see him going to SmackDown and contending for the WWE United States Championship. Like, nothing makes sense for this guy except for to be tag team partners, to be loyal to his partner, which I hope at the end of the day will happen. But of course, right now, during this new day and age of the Paul Levesque era, right now it's been nothing but good. So perhaps maybe he has something up his sleeve to make this storyline work, to make it, more believable. But most importantly, leave it good for the WWE universe. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just don't want it to be done for the shock factor. That'd be terrible. That'd be absolutely terrible. Will Damian Priest call out Finn Balor tonight? What is next for the American Made? Will Bronson Reed address what Seth Rollins said? And will Drew McIntyre, much like his counterpart CM Punk, address his future in WWE? All of it live tonight on WWE Monday Night Raw on the USA Network. So make sure you're tuning into it right now. Like I said, it already aired on the East Coast, so I have it recorded. Can't wait to watch it. And yeah. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about our AEW WrestleDream review. Going to give you guys my overall analysis. So do not go anywhere, and we will be right back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in terms of the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain drama, WWE superstar inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about their contracts, extensions, as well as new signings. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE, the TNA to Ring of Honor. We talk about the GCW to the NWA. We also talk about basically absolutely anything that becomes hot in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about here on this show presented by the GSMC Sports Network. So, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into this this segment here, AEW's Wrestling Dream. Overall, I did not see it. I got to be honest. I did see it. I watched the broken down, kind of coagulated highlights there. And, I got a main gist of what exactly happened. Of course, kind of getting the narrative, giving you guys my analysis and giving a little bit of, giving a little bit of exactly how I feel about some of these matches. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat if you have a burning question or a hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are absolutely all ears 1,010%. The show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure you guys feel like you are part of the show as well, making sure you guys feel like you're part of the mix. And, so don't be shy and drop your thoughts. And if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on the show, why not use that super chat? It's that $ below that chat box right there. Whatever you type in will be guaranteed to be featured on the show so we can discuss anything you guys, have to say about any of the given subjects. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the subject matter being approached on the show. It could also be, a hot take in the history of professional wrestling. It could also be about superstar news. Like it could be, absolutely anything. If you guys have an opinion, absolutely, even if you got to give me a shout out of, where you're listening from, maybe perhaps, what you guys did over the weekend. I'm just kidding. No, if it's brief, we can discuss about it. Like, you know what I mean? If you had a massive chess tournament, and I'm just kidding. No, but no, chess is actually fun. I got to be honest. A lot of patience, a lot of strategic thinking. But overall, I'm not the best chess player, of course. If you play online, you can find me on the game and stuff like that. Easy level, definitely easy. I'm probably beating first graders and stuff like that. But it's all part of my part of my confidence. So don't you dare rain on my parade. I'm just kidding, no. But anyways, once again, guys, also doing that, donating. Also guarantees that all these podcasters having these amazing shows can bring you even more awesome content coming to you guys Monday through Friday on the GSMC Sports Network. Content that you guys love. You're absolutely super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep this party going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat is not your thing, go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But of course, criticism in terms of talking sports, it's all part of the game. No hard feelings here, not really that sensitive. Obviously, whatever you guys have to say is greatly appreciated. Feedback is a gift. So, let's go and talk about our AEW's WrestleDream, which took place on Saturday. From what I watched, I liked it. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty dynamite. They were live in Tacoma, Washington. Starting off with what happened at the 0 hour, we had Brian Cage defeating Atlantis Jr. for the Ring of Honor Television Championship, which seemed like it was it was well placed. It was a good spot for Brian Cage. He's been so impressive throughout his tenure with AEW. So I kind of like that overall he was able to pick up the victory there. Was able to be now he's a fighting champion, and which is perfect for him. Anna Jay defeats Harley Cameron. The Acclaim defeats MXM Collection. I think it's Max. I'm not too sure. The Outrunners teaming up with Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly of the conglomeration defeat Alex Reynolds, Arya Davari, Tony Nese, and John Silver. Much like building up momentum for their future. Orange Cassidy and also Kyle O'Reilly. I feel like they deserve a lot more. I feel like ultimately I tune into AEW Dynamite. These guys are always in great matches. Now you kind of have, and I'm going to talk about it a little later, you kind of have the Undisputed Kingdom kind of flirting with, turning babyface, which would be absolutely perfect for Kyle O'Reilly to kind of, take his place with the Undisputed Kingdom. But, I'm not too sure as well. You have the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe. You have Tomohiro Ishii. You have Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero. You have all these amazing wrestlers, all these impressive guys. Ultimately, maybe joining an old faction could ultimately kind of shoot yourself in the foot. But I don't know. It should be interesting to find out what happens with their careers kind of moving forward. All right, back on to the main card. We're going to talk about Switchblade Jay White defeating Hangman Adam Page. After what Adam Page, basically defeated Swerve Strickland in that steel cage match, it was kind of a shocker. It was kind of a shocker to see him drop the ball here against, the returning, Switchblade Jay White. But it's surprising, but at the same time, I can understand why the AEW would do it. Jay White is, he's special. He's super special. Kind of reminds me of like a young, like Shawn Michaels. This guy could be the face of AEW. He doesn't necessarily have to drown himself, competing in, trios championships, or the 6-man championship or Ring of Honor. This guy could actually go out there and be like, maybe an AEW International champion. That could definitely be on the table as well for Switchblade Jay White. He's impressive as hell. One of my favorite AEW wrestlers, I got to be honest. And he was able to, beat out Hangman Adam Page after he had that momentum of beating, the former AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. Next, we have Mariah May retains her championship against Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale, not much to say about her except that she's like one of the best wrestlers in AEW in the women's division. She's very impressive. She's over with the crowd. She knows how to play with the crowd. She knows basically how to, she knows how to get people just hooked on her matches. I've kind of talked about this before on my podcast. At 1,010%, I give her all my love and respect because of the way she can cut promos. She makes things, seem relevant. Even some matches you're like, I'm not really into it. And all of a sudden, Willow Nightingale grabs the mic and you're like, oh, crap, all of a sudden I want to see this match. So something that Willow Nightingale does really, really well. Obviously, Mariah May picked up the victory, but I think either way, it doesn't really, kind of negatively reflect on what Willow Nightingale has to offer or her future in AEW. Once again, you had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, back out due to an illness. So, Lord only knows what would have happened if she would have been the one fighting Mariah May. I don't think Britt Baker would be. I don't think she's AEW World Heavyweight. A world, women's champion, just yet. I want to see her kind of fight a little bit more. After her return, I ultimately thought it would have been smart for AEW to drop the TBS championship to Britt Baker to kind of, ununify that because Mercedes Moné She was fighting for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship once when she hurt her foot. Like, you know what I mean? And it's about time that I think Mercedes needs to start losing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan. I like her better as a heel as opposed to a babyface. But I don't know. You're kind of hogging all the gold here, hogging all the spotlight. And obviously, you signed someone to a lucrative contract. You basically made her the highest paid women's wrestler in wrestling history. Up until I feel like WWE will give not give Becky Lynch that kind of money. But right now you have Mercedes Moné, and if you're investing this much money to her, professional wrestling, it's how much money and time and attention you kind of put into it, the more they're going to kind of be prominent and be the face of the company. So right now they're definitely gearing towards Mercedes Moné being the face, and after paying her all that money, like I can understand, because at the same time, I don't know, she could still be the face of AEW holding one title though. So that's why I'm like, Next, we have Jack Perry defending his AEW TNT Championship against Katsuyori Shibata. Perry was able to kind of sneak out of the win because Shibata choked him out, but he landed on his shoulders there, getting the 1-2-3. Kind of it was all right. But after the match, that's when it started heating up a lot. You saw Jack Perry attack Shibata with the TNT Championship. Of course, then you saw Daniel Garcia come out and intervene, and then you saw MJF come out. You heard his music hit, so he returned to AEW as well. And then once when obviously you had that stare down between MJF and Daniel Garcia, you had Jack Perry hit Garcia from the back. Then of course, once again, just kind of top that, we had Adam Cole returned. Adam Cole returned to AEW, possibly a babyface. I think it's possible he helped, dust off Daniel Garcia, shook his hand. What you're seeing with the, what I was mentioning before with the Undisputed Kingdom. You saw Roderick Strong's match with Hook. He got a handshake. You saw Matt Taven's match with Mark Briscoe. You got a handshake as well. So this could be a huge storyline. I feel like this could be great for the Undisputed Kingdom, and I feel like, overall, you know, reunion with O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Cole, and of course with the newbies, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett would be pretty cool. I feel like that'd be pretty badass. All right, next we have the AEW International Championship. We have Will Ospreay taking on defending his championship against Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. Overall, I felt like it was a great match. It was an interesting finish, in my opinion. Kyle Fletcher turns heel against Will Ospreay, which was you know, I feel like it was necessary. I ultimately feel like it was necessary for him to kind of turn heel there. It's a good spot for him. You've seen the Don Callis family lately just seem weak, seem like it's not really, like, I don't know, just doesn't really seem that great. Doesn't really seem that good. But this made them strong. This made them really, really strong. So there's no doubt in my mind. Obviously, you saw, of course, freaking, you saw Don Callis bring out that damn screwdriver once again, which was, kind of annoying, kind of troublesome. But, it is what it is. Ultimately, you saw Konosuke Takeshita dethrone Will Ospreay and become the new AEW International Champion. Next, we see Swerve Strickland to return to AEW. He addresses the crowd, basically saying thank you. MVP comes out, confronts Swerve about his future. He thanks MVP for doing whatever he can, and obviously he helped part ways for African American wrestlers. He appreciated him for all his advice, basically, kind of moving forward. But it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. But overall, it was a great promo. I thought it was a great promo. I definitely liked how Swerve Strickland was able to kind of play to the fans a little bit and kind of be like, it seemed like he was going to take the side of MVP, and he was kind of throwing shade at Prince Nana. But he was able to kind of thank him for everything he's done for him in the past. Swerve Strickland as a babyface is going absolutely nowhere. Got a huge confrontation between him and Shelton Benjamin. And it should be pretty cool. But overall, definitely a great promo. I definitely liked how AEW did that. Next, we have Hologram in the 2 out of 3 falls match. Defeats the Beast Mortos. He was able to pick up the first fall and the third fall. a great wrestler. The Beast Mortos was a huge challenge. That guy as well has been on a has been on a nice little win like little column there. So not really it was a good match, and Hologram once again stays perfect, undefeated. Next, we have Darby Allin taking on Brody King. This match basically was, exactly what we anticipated it to be. Darby Allin, although he has lost against Brody King 6 out of 7 times, he was able to pick up the victory. And then at the end of the match, you saw the former friends have mutual respect for each other, give themselves a handshake. I thought that was ultimately pretty badass. Next, we have the Young Bucks retain their AEW World Heavyweight Championships against Private Party, which wasn't really, which wasn't really a shock. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but this elite thing, with Kazuchika Okada and Jack Perry, I believe is dead. I believe is dead now. I think Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are kind of focusing on their own, careers. They never really mentioned about them coming together. Obviously, still friends. Obviously, still alliance members. But I don't know. It's just kind of crazy how that storyline kind of seemed like it fizzled out, because I feel like Tony Khan kind of knew it was kind of going too much. Mark Briscoe defeats Chris Jericho, retains his World Heavyweight Ring of Honor Championship, which is great because he deserves it. He's the best wrestler, one of the best wrestlers on the whole AEW train right there, with the CMLL, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and of course Ring of Honor. And Chris Jericho wasn't going to dethrone my man Mark Briscoe, so I was happy about that. Happy about that as well. Lastly, we have the main event. The main event: Jon Moxley defeats Bryan Danielson to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. This was a very violent but yet impactful match. Wheeler Yuta came out, to kind of seem like he was going to help Bryan Danielson, then attack Darby Allin, help duct tape him down. Then you saw Private Party come into the mix, and you saw Jeff Jarrett. Then you saw Orange Cassidy as well as Daniel Garcia. A lot of these people with a huge respect for Bryan Danielson, and once again, they were going to bring out that plastic bag approach again, which is bad, which was terrible. I'm surprised Tony Khan gave the okay for that as well. But it's clear right now that Bryan Danielson has retired from full-time wrestling. It was about the right thing to do with his injuries and stuff like that. A couple of matches heading toward WrestleDream. He lost both feeling in his legs, fighting up against Kaz Okada on Dynamite. It sucks. I feel like AEW ultimately will kind of suffer from losing Danielson. But of course, you have MJF, and then you had Adam Cole kind of return to AEW to kind of take the sting away a little bit there. But ultimately, Bryan Danielson is one of the best wrestlers, and he wanted to face up against Mox. This was a nice little match. I can bet you, backstage after they took him on the stretcher, Jon Moxley was waiting there to, kind of give Daniel Bryan a nice little hug, be like, hey, man, thank you for all that you've done for the company. Thank you for being by my side during our time with the BCC. And of course, Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta was probably back there as well. When you're kind of doing something in the entertainment industry, in terms of wrestling as well, like you feel so confident of like making this guy look like crap, beating the crap out of him, just knowing that in a mere moments later, you're going to apologize, you're going to hug him, you're having a nice, maybe, a cold drink or something like that together. So there's no doubt in my mind that I feel like Bryan Danielson, no shame, left out a G, left out one of the historic figures of All Elite Wrestling. So overall, I feel like it was a nice way to kind of get out of there. Now he's going to, now he's destined for neck surgery, which is great. Hopefully, like I said, he returns part-time and, hopefully he doesn't take too much of a break. I feel like he will ultimately, I don't know if they're going to give him that goodbye speech thing going maybe. And then that's when you kind of have everybody from AEW kind of come out and applaud him, and he's gone for about a year. Like he's going to be gone for like about a year. So it should be interesting to find out what happens next with Bryan Danielson. It's going to be an interesting episode of AEW Dynamite. I guarantee you that. All right, next we're going to talk about WWE and AEW's PLE's comparison. Some people complain that WWE's PLEs are too short. Some people complain that AEW PLEs are too long. So we're going to dive into the subject matter when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the backstage curtain drama. We talk about superstars' inactive statuses, injury updates, also their contracts, their extensions, new signings. Talk about promotions from AEW to WWE, TNA to Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling to the GCW, to the National Wrestling Alliance, to basically any other wrestling promotion out there here on the GSMC Sports Network and the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. If it makes major news headlines in terms of the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show. So make sure you tune in. If you're a wrestling fan, this is a perfect spot. So make sure you like and subscribe to the show. All right, so we talked about some, just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE SmackDown review. We talked about Monday Night Raw. We, previewing a little bit what's going to go on with that. We also talked about AEW WrestleDream, give you guys my analysis, also some of my opinions. And now we're going to talk about some WWE and AEW PLE comparisons. Some people complain that WWE, PLEs are too short. Some people complain that AEW is too long. So we're going to talk about that. So let's go ahead and without further ado, do you want to talk about some AEW and WWE? All right, here we go. So first and foremost, AEW is always going to be compared to the WWE. Kind of people, sprouting out, kind of living that nostalgic feeling of the Monday Night Wars. Obviously, there are no wars, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize if a lot of you guys are like, "What are you talking about?" Yes, there is. They're competing against each other. They are and they aren't. If you're a wrestling fan, for me, I'm a diehard WWE fan. I am. Recently started watching AEW Dynamite about a year ago. And of course, what goes along with it, with Ring of Honor and, TNA as well. But overall, I don't really feel compelled to kind of take sides. And it's wrong for people to kind of have that, kind of take on that. Because, it's not like WCW against WWE, or WWF, you know what I mean? Back then, there wasn't a lot more streaming services. There wasn't a lot more chances in social media like TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook to kind of get updates from the rival promotions. Like you didn't have a lot of TikToks from WWE. You didn't see a lot of reels on Instagram talking about AEW's WrestleDream. So there's a lot of WCW talking about WCW Mayhem or Bash at the Beach or Starrcade or any of those pay-per-views. Like you didn't get that. So obviously right now there's a lot of discrepancy between the two, but just kind of getting into it. First and foremost, AEW, and this is a plus for me. This is a huge plus for me. Has a full match card, 9 matches. 8, sometimes 2. WWE used to do this during the Attitude Era, and basically before the WWE Network was created, and I feel like WWE created this narrative of what a wrestling premium live event should be. They didn't really have anybody to compete against. For the longest time, they were like their own competition. So then WWE felt like they could dictate the world and feel like they could basically, state their claim in any reason to be like, oh, I want quality over quantity, which by all means, it's a legitimate argument. No, it's legible. I get it. It's cool. But I like it. I like how AEW has championship matches. All the belts are defended on one night. And obviously that's why a lot of people pay for that pay-per-view card because AEW's pay-per-views are so cool. They're so dope. They deliver in every aspect, at least in my opinion. Kind of giving me a lot of like a UFC kind of feel where you have the bantamweight, the featherweight, the light heavyweight, the world heavy. Like you have all the belts being defended on all night, on one night. You know what I mean? And if WWE, they only do like two belts tops. They have a small match card, 5 matches. They run from 3 to 3.5 hours as well. They have both Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, AEW, their counterpart, has 4 hours plus a press conference. Obviously, you have the CMLL, New Japan Professional Wrestling, are kind of, they kind of have superstars, kind of dabble in a little bit. But most of all, you have stars from Ring of Honor and AEW coming together. So that's a lot of, that's a lot of stuff. For AEW, the weekly shows are good, not really great. For WWE, the weekly shows are great. And, I really, very rarely they have a bad weekly show like Raw or SmackDown. The pay-per-views on AEW is absolutely stand up. It's incredible. The PLEs on WWE are great, but at times they seem like they can kind of leave some things out, kind of let you down a little bit, kind of like superstars not defending their championships, like what's happening with the WWE World Tag Team Champions on Monday Night Raw. That's kind of a troublesome, kind of some a subject that kind of rubs me the wrong way. In AEW, the leadership, Tony Khan is super nice, but doesn't have the respect of everybody in the locker room. In WWE, Triple H, Paul Levesque, he's been inside WWE. He's been within the ring before. He's been in every single aspect behind WWE. He's a leader. He has the respect of the locker room. No one's basically going to, kind of tell him to F off a little bit there. The predictability or the shock factor in WWE comes in my opinion, about a 6 out of 10. No, we'll do 7 out of 10. For AEW, the shock factor is about 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And, which is great. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, what are you talking like? I don't know. The shock factor, it could be done well, but then if it's done too much or too soon, it could be bad. And sometimes that kind of shock factor, it kind of has bitten Tony Khan in the butt a couple of times. Sometimes, their storylines could deliver too quickly. And in WWE, the storylines, they're obviously getting better. They're getting better every single time. Like I said, 2 or 3 championship titles are on the line, weekly in WWE, as opposed to, AEW, who they defend titles on Rampage, Collision, Dynamite, and then all of them, contend for their championship on the PLE. So, but I think that's pretty, I don't know. It's hit or miss for me. For Monday Night Raw and SmackDown championships are also defended during weekly shows, which makes me believe that maybe that's the reason why their weekly shows are a little bit more successful than AEW. But although it is kind of like the same thing ipso facto, the pre-shows on WWE are basically eliminated. You don't really have, maybe you have like 1 or 2 matches. Other than that, it's just somebody talking in the mic all the time. AEW, quite the opposite. Their pre-show is absolutely filled, 4 or 5 matches. But then sometimes it could be a little bit too much. The crowd, within a 12-match card can be a little exhausting, so you could be watching and be like, all right, like I'm going to get into it. Oh, 12 matches. Like it's a 4-hour show. It's long, very, very long. And in WWE, the fans are fully engaged. Like, Triple H, Paul Levesque, his philosophy, his perspective is quality over quantity. The title runs in WWE, besides the World Championships, besides, no, oh my God, I worded that wrong. That was my bad. Title runs for World Heavyweight Championships are kind of long. Title runs for AEW, their title runs are kind of short, depending on the division. So overall, I feel like that's kind of a, kind of equals there. In my opinion, I feel like there's nothing wrong with AEW's pay-per-views. And then also, I feel like there's nothing wrong with WWE's creating this comparison. Ultimately, I feel like, both are great. Both are great. Another side note that Tony Khan recently said in an interview that because the NFL is basically king in terms of the ratings, they're going to start having their PLEs on Saturdays, which is very interesting because if it somehow some way goes up against WWE, which I feel like they would never ever do, it would be bad. It'd be really, really bad. And WWE, much like this new TKO Holdings agreement, Dana White, the president of UFC, basically said, if there's ever a time where the UFC butt heads with WWE in terms of airtime. WWE is going to be the first one to go to Sundays. Both of them trying their luck. Like I said, the comparison between these two, I feel like both of them are good. None of them really outweighs the other. That really wasn't the part of this. There wasn't the part of this segment, but it's kind of just the way of how the two kind of ultimately compare. Why some fans prefer one or the other. Usually, when one kind of disagrees with something that WWE does, it's like, okay, they do this for that, and the same people are the same argument could be made for AEW, but then you also kind of decipher that as well and kind of defend that stance or that hot take as well in the world of professional wrestling, and how long and how quality should be in terms of the premium live events from both All Elite Wrestling and the World Wrestling Entertainment. So like I said, by all means, I never meant to kind of compare the two. I know it sound like a giant hypocrite being like, you can't really compare WCW and AEW, and you can't really compare any wrestling promotion nowadays because of the where we are right now in the digital era. There's so many streaming services you can stream live on Twitter, like you see with WWE Speed, like what the National Wrestling Alliance has done ever since they lost that contract with the CW. So both PLEs are awesome. To be honest, in my opinion, and it might be a little hot take here, I love the pay-per-views from Tony Khan. I got to be honest. I'm a sucker for him. I feel like it's great. A lot of action. A lot of action. Like I said, different viewers, different tastes and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I feel like they can do no wrong. All right, guys. So that was pretty cool to talk about. Next, we're going to talk about our fifth and final segment. We're going to talk about some good old-fashioned New Japan Professional Wrestling, King of Pro-Wrestling. We're going to talk about it. Going to give you guys my results and stuff like that. I'm also going to talk about retirement. That's one of the main superstars from New Japan Professional Wrestling is taking a step down. January, he's going to be done. We're going to talk about him when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms of the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage current drama. We also talk about superstar news, inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations. We talk about extensions, also, new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE to TNA, to NXT, to Ring of Honor, also New Japan Professional Wrestling, to AEW. If it makes major news headlines in the world of professional sports, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. Remember to subscribe to the GSMC Sports Network and hit that like button and follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, especially if you're a wrestling fan. All right, so now we're going to talk about some New Japan Professional Wrestling. Watching these matches, I gotta be honest, super great. I don't really have any criticisms behind it, but I think New Japan Professional Wrestling and Stardom, a lot of international wrestling, kind of. I feel like it kind of goes to my roots a little bit more, and I don't want to say like because WWE is so mainstream and it's been so digitalized that it's like you can't really have that home for some good old fashioned like wrestling. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but that's just my opinion. If you want to find some, some old school style wrestling, kind of a nice little nostalgic with, top tier superstars, matches and storylines. New Japan Professional Wrestling is amazing. It's definitely it's been around for such a long time. It's been successful in the world of Japan, well, all over the world, to be honest. You have a lot of, great superstars that come out of New Japan Professional Wrestling. Not necessarily, part of the Asian descent, obviously, what you kind of got from, like AJ Styles, like you got from, Will Ospreay, as well as King Ricochet, Prince Puma, or I guess was his name, Prince Puma. There's a lot of great wrestlers, like Konosuke Kashina as well, Katsuyori Shibata, great AEW wrestlers that are killing it. And I don't know. It's also, Shinsuke Nakamura. Can't forget the AEW Continental Champion Kaz Okada. So I don't know. It's really great. It's definitely really great. 1,010%. A lot of people actually, they come to New Japan Professional Wrestling, kind of find that passion again. You had the same thing done with Sasha Banks and Mercedes Moné. So definitely, also the Young Bucks as well. A lot of good things. Eddie Kingston's good too. A lot of wrestlers, that are just very prominent in the world of New Japan Professional Wrestling. All right, New Japan Professional Wrestling's King of Pro Wrestling. We had Hiromu Takahashi defeat Mystico. We also had an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship between the Intergalactic Jet Setters defeating the Bullet Club War Dogs. The IWGP Tag Team Championships, TMDK retained against the Rogue Army, Great Okan and Haner. Challenge for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Then we had a never open weight championship match between Shingo Tagachi retained his match against Ryohei. Oh my God, what is that name? Oh, God dang it! God dang it! I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. But I heard this match was actually one of the best ones. And Tagachi, after watching highlights and stuff like that, I love how he's so like he could be a dominant superstar, but he could also, kind of what I was talking about, like in terms of WWE, how like Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill just look like they tower over their competition, or they're just their skill sets. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to be like physical, physically equal or physically intimidated and stuff like that. But I definitely love how Tagachi, he dictates a lot of his matchups. He definitely made I can't pronounce his name look right, look good. Oh my God, that's so crazy. Next, we have a New Japan Professional Wrestling World Television Championship. Ren Narita defeated Jeff Cobb, the defending champion, and Yota Tatsui. I like Jeff Cobb. I know Jeff Cobb, especially during their, oh my God, what was that pay-per-view where he felt like he was kind of left out? I can't remember. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. But I like Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is a great wrestler. There's no doubt in my mind. I feel like he's probably, you know, maybe finding a way to get his way to Ring of Honor, maybe to finally get his way back into AEW. There's no doubt in my mind this guy's, he's a star in the making. I doubt CMLL. Like, I really honestly doubt he's going to go to CMLL. But ultimately, I feel like, this isn't the end of his title reigns. I feel like it's only the beginning. You know, he kind of has that nonchalant attitude that I kind of like. Like, it seems like he cares, but he doesn't care. Seems like, he's that guy you hate to love and the guy you love to hate. Like, you know what I mean? So, Jeff Cobb is definitely, prominent within the world of professional wrestling, Tony Khan's promotion. So, we'd love to see him kind of hold more gold there. But that's, my opinion, 1,000%. Next, we see the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Buck, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, announced that they will be at New Japan Professional Wrestling and AEW's Wrestle Dynasty. That should be pretty badass. Obviously, we kind of got a taste of what happened. We had a Forbidden Door, which was absolutely phenomenal. It was great. And I can't wait to see these guys come together and kind of have more, have a lot more promotions and stuff like that. Have a lot more, PLEs, because just the different styles of wrestling that you have to constantly be wrapping your head around, watching these guys perform what they do inside the ring, and they're damn good at it. The way they kind of manipulate the clock, the way they manipulate the fans to kind of get them into it. It seems like it's slow, it's steady, but at the same time, you're highly invested. I could honestly say a lot of wrestlers, and I'm not going to name any names, when they're inside the ring and they're having matches and stuff like that, and you're just kind of like sitting there, you're like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Once again, kind of, kind of shading some goodness and, giving a lot of props to New Japan Professional Wrestling because every single time they're inside the squared circle, it's a match willing to wait for. It's a match willing to be patient and watch for the outcome. And, yeah, definitely, that's super cool. Super damn cool. Super damn cool. All right, we have the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion David Finlay retained his title against Hiroki Gudo. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, we saw Duiki, the champion, defeat Sho or SHO. And of course, we have Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming up with Shota Umino and El Fantasma defeats House of Torture. Obviously, kind of what I was alluding to a little bit earlier when I pressed the wrong thing there. We have a legend. Tanahashi makes his retirement announcement at Professional Wrestling Kingdom. 25 years in the business. That's a long time. That's, a very long time. Probably got into wrestling maybe his mid 20s, maybe, perhaps maybe earlier than that, But overall, I feel like the world of wrestling is going to miss him, but he's not going to be too far away. The A's confirmed that his final match will be at Wrestle Kingdom 20, January 4th, 2025, I think it was. Or 2026. I'm not too sure. I gotta revamp that. He will be part of New Japan Professional Wrestling's company president. And of course, he kind of laid out his plans of strengthening his company's ties with AEW and Stardom, which is exactly what you probably should do. This new deal with Tony Khan is going to ultimately put your professional wrestling product higher and kind of send it into stars that it never really seemed like it could reach before. But I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Next, we have Tatsuya Naito loses his championship against Zack Sabre Jr. Sabre Jr.'s, I got to be honest, I thought he was going to achieve success a lot earlier, but now that he has, he defeated Naito, and he was the one who dethroned John Moxley for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So this guy, he was a boss. He's on the map of being one of the greatest wrestlers right now in the business. For Sabre Jr. to kind of wind up on top, definitely definitely gotta throw some respect there. I definitely think he's going to represent the title. He's going to represent the company super well. So if I'm New Japan Professional Wrestling, if I'm a fan, just know that you're, get ready for a nice, long, healthy title run because Zack Sabre Jr. is definitely this next level wrestler that Tony Khan's promotion definitely loves. And New Japan Professional Wrestling, like I mentioned, Tanahashi making his retirement. He loves Zack Sabre Jr. So, behind, I don't know if it's projected that much, on the screen, but, behind the scenes, it seems like it just works so damn well. Just works so damn well. So, once again, New Japan Professional Wrestling, King of Professional Wrestling 2024 happened, and I felt like it happened because I clicked on my computer like around like 8:30 a.m. and I was like, oh, October 14th. And I was like, what? That's crazy. But Japan from California is about 16 hours away. 16 hours away. So tonight, I think it's like almost like, damn, it's almost like 1 or 2 o'clock right now in the afternoon. So they kind of have their things, they kind of have their PLEs before, over there it'd be natural to kind of have it around 3 or 4 or 5. So before we even wake up, and it's crazy, it seems like it happened in the future, but in reality, it's just the time zones. So, I was definitely tripped out finding that out because I was like, because I got a notification from my ringside news that Matthew and Nicholas Jackson announced on New Japan Professional Wrestling's King of Pro Wrestling that they're going to return, and I got that. I was like, dude, didn't these guys just like fight in Tacoma, Washington, like literally like 36 hours ago or even shorter than that. So I thought that was a giant trip. I thought it was kind of, at first I kind of felt stupid. I was like, Eric, come on, dude, like time zones, man, time zones. So I don't know. I was able to kind of bounce back and I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny. All right, guys. So, hey, that's it for me today. Once again, hope you guys had an amazing, safe, lovely weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Once again, criticism is part of the game of sports. So, obviously, we do love feedback. Feedback is a gift, whether it's negative or positive. We can have a nice little conversation about it. Definitely love that you guys are willing to give me your time. Obviously, appreciate it. Remember to follow us on the GSMC Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, and Instagram. Just for more content and updates. We have a lot of awesome podcasters. Like I say, every single show, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got 2 football podcasts. The NFL is heating up. We got the GSMC football podcast with my boy Kenneth, and we got the Chip Shot football podcast with my boy Manny. We got the NBA right around the corner, and the WNBA playoffs. The finals coming around the corner. Make sure you tune into the GSMC basketball podcast for all the hottest news, all the latest updates, and also follow Tommy's GSMC college football podcast. Every Saturday is full of surprises with all these schools. Kind of, some of them are shocking. Usually, in terms of you kind of out of all the division or the conferences, you kind of have your like 2 or 3 favorites. But I don't know. It seems like it's kind of wide open nowadays. And I'm trying to get into college football. One step at a time. Of course, when it comes to football, college or the NFL, you gotta love fantasy sports, your fantasy football. Join my boy Chris Shepard on the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Find out your starters, your sit-ups, who to maybe pick up off the waiver wire, who to drop. If your team is doing terrible, make sure you tune into the Chris Shepard GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Find out how to make your team WWE champions. Make sure you tune into that. So we also have All Around Sports with my boy Jeremy with Sports by GSMC and TJ with the GSMC Sports Podcast. All these guys who have an amazing passion for sports, have an amazing skill as podcasters. They definitely draw an audience in. I give you the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever, ever regret subscribing to these podcasts because these guys are amazing. I watch them too. I learn from them, entertained 1,010% of the time. So make sure you invest some time, be a part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. Once again, that's it for me tonight. I hope you guys had an amazing Monday. I know Mondays can be hard, gearing up for the whole week. But, we got some awesome wrestling to kind of get us, help us, get us through it. Tune into the GSMC Soccer Podcast. Got my boy Amron if you're a soccer fan. Or if you're getting into soccer, make sure you tune in. Stay on this podcast. Stay on this sports network for, 5 minutes away. Make sure you tune into one of the best soccer podcasts in the sports entertainment industry right now. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of